Hey guys, you're awesome. Let's just start off that way. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing today is just going over some stuff because of the kind of weirdness of our schedule and having to like move things around. I just wanted to be able to like go on and start our slide deck because I'm not going to see you until Friday. And so I just wanted to go over this. It won't take very long, but I'm going to just go over the basic stuff of World War I that you're going to need to know. We don't go into battles and we don't go anything like that. Really, you just need to kind of know the causes and effects of the war. And so once you guys have done your reading, your textbook reading for the night before, I want you to complete this textbook reading review before you start anything. And then we're going to go over the main causes of World War I. And so this is just an acronym to help you guys remember what those causes are. Then watch the Black Hand video, which is about the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Remember, it starts because a guy wanted a sandwich. So go and find out why. Okay, and then I'm going to go over some World War I notes with you guys, just looking at, just looking at the alliances, a little bit more at the alliances, which I'll talk about during the main causes, what total war is, how people are reacting to war, technologies. Conclusion, I'm actually not going to go over the conclusion because we're going to talk about that in class on Friday with the Treaty of Versailles. And then you guys will go ahead and just finish up with the World War I crash course, okay? And then make sure to also do these green slides. So we've got just a little World War I LEQ skeleton, so kind of like an outline, not doing a full thing. A little bit of reading, not a lot. You have 3 pages. I think you guys can handle that. And then looking at what's going on in between the wars before the dictators come to power. Okay, so this stuff is gonna, especially with the Depression, is really going to like lead into these dictators and what's going on in Russia with the Russian Revolution. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to have you guys go back to your main causes slide. Okay, let me move myself out. I'll probably have to move myself around a little bit during this time. If it comes up, you can do it. There we go. Okay, so I use the acronym MAIN because each letter is going to stand for something about the causes. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is, it's going to go real slow. Okay, militarism. So militarism obviously has to do with military, okay? And the big thing is just building up your military, okay? So think about it. We just had imperialism, the consequences of industrializations. We had imperialism. Not only were those countries going into various other countries for resources, but they also were going in there for people, for men to serve in their military. And this is a way that they're really going to kind of build up their military. Glorifying military, and war is good. We haven't had a big world war before, and so everybody is kind of excited about this, and everybody is not excited to go to like, yay, we finally get to fight, but the fact that everybody gets to kind of like come together and unify together, and there is an excitement for war, and so militarism is going to be really big. And you can see that, like, if you were ever given a graph or a chart or something, you're going to see that military that is going to rise like crazy for all of these European countries. And the money that they're spending on these militaries and the new technologies. Holy moly, we got the Industrial Revolution, and we talked about this with imperialism, like motives for imperialism and reasons why they're successful. Is one of them is the technology and the building up of technology. And when your countries have good technology, they've got good weapons, good big weapons. Okay, the next one is going to be alliances. Let me move myself over. Okay, alliances. So alliance is basically like you teaming up with somebody in order to kind of like build a relationship. If one goes to war, the other one's going to go to war. I don't think I can go on to the next one yet. So this is going to happen in Europe. And the way that this is going to happen is not just by like, hey, you're cool, I'm going to go like become an alliance with you. It's going to happen for numerous reasons. Number one, do you have like common culture, common language, especially language? We're going to look at Russia, and Russia is going to like back up the Slavs, excuse me, the is going to back up Serbia because they are of Slavic nationality. Okay, if you have similar types of government, they're going to have some alliances there. Okay, so we're going to look at the alliances. Let me kind of pull that down. So you can see up here, there's like the Triple Entente, the Triple Alliance, and then the Balkans. The Balkans are going to be really important when it comes to beginning of the war. Okay, so right now we have Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy, and they are teamed up together. Okay, they're called the Triple Alliance. Now, these people are actually going to turn into the Central Powers when World War I breaks out, but Italy is actually going to leave. Okay, they're going to switch over to here. The Triple Entente right now is Russia, France, and Great Britain, and they will end up turning into the Allied powers. Now, you have the Ottoman Empire that will join Germany and Austria-Hungary at the beginning of World War I. Italy, let's go this way. Italy switches sides over to the Allied powers, and then you're going to have Bulgaria, which is going to, team up with Germany, and then Serbia, who is an alliance with Russia. Okay, so that's kind of what your alliances look like prior to World War I breaking out. Okay, there we go. Let me move myself again. Now we've got imperialism. As it comes. So imperialism is just basically like any other alliance, any other, when we're talking about imperialism, you've got competition. Who can have, the biggest empire? Who can have the most territory and the best resources? And so this is just definitely going to create some tension within Europe. All right, and then the last one is nationalism. Whatever goes. Okay, nationalism, remember, pride in your country, willing, kind of tying it with militarism, trying to be willing to fight for your country. Okay, and this is really going to start to unite places. So if you have common language, common culture, common traditions, history, like you're going to feel a tie to your country and you're going to want to fight and protect that. But then also it's going to strengthen the alliances. Okay, now these are like the long-term causes. Okay, these are the things that are like building up to World War I. The reason why we have a giant gunpowder keg in the middle, big barrel, is because it basically, the Balkans, something's going to happen in the Balkans that's going to make this explode. The Balkans are called the powder keg of Europe. Okay, and the reason why they're called the powder keg is because a tiny little spark happened, aka the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Like, that's not just a little spark, but it's a little thing that happens and it explodes World War I. Okay, because basically everybody gets pulled in because of the alliance system. Okay, everybody gets pulled in. Nationalism is going to spur like Serbia and spur these Black Hand people that you're going to learn about, and they're going to want to assassinate the Archduke of Austria-Hungary because Austria-Hungary is like trying to control them. And so now then you have like the Balkans area kind of all like nationalism, like, oh, we've got to unite together. Okay, we've got to like fight for ourselves. And then once they assassinate the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Germany is like, Austria-Hungary, are you just going to let them do that? Now, because of the alliances right here, okay, the alliances, now you have Germany and Austria-Hungary, and then Italy joins, and Italy's like, all right, I got to support you. But Russia is in support of the Balkans because of the alliances and because of nationalism. Okay, and then all of a sudden Russia's like, no, like Austria-Hungary, you can't do that to Serbia, you can't do that. And so all of a sudden Germany's like, well, fine, I'm going to declare war on you. And so they declare war on them. And then what ends up happening is France and Great Britain getting, involved in it because of the alliances. But we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. All right, so the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand is what leads to World War I beginning. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. So I want you guys to pause and go and watch The Black Hand, okay, before we get into the World War II notes. Go watch The Black Hand. Okay, pause. And now I'm moving on to World War II. Okay, so we've got World War II, and whoops, we talked about our alliances just now. Okay, I'm going to actually go down here because it kind of shows what's going on in the beginning of World War I. So we've got all of these light lime green people. Okay, these are the Triple Entente. That's going to turn into the Allies. These weird green people, okay, that is the Triple Alliance, and they are going to turn into the Central Powers. And you can remember that because they're in the center of Europe and they're surrounded by everybody. Okay, now the assassination is going to happen in Sarajevo. The guys who assassinate the Archduke is from Serbia, and Russia is an ally to this little area down here because they have common culture, common language, okay, Slavic people. And so Russia gets kind of tied into this. Now, the problem with Germany right now is they're in the middle. Okay, so they can't fight a two-front war. So they got to come up with a plan of like how to not fight a two-front war. Now, Russia over here is kind of dealing with their own crap. Okay, they are late to industrialize. They have tensions with their own king. They're probably not going to mobilize very quickly. It's going to take them a while to get from up here all the way down here. So Germany is like, it's going to be totally fine, not a big deal. Let's, actually focus on France, take them down real quick, and then we can go over here and focus on Russia. And that's what it's called the Schlieffen Plan. But there's a huge thing that they end up doing that backfires 100%. So Germany decides, hey, I'm going to go through neutral Belgium right here. Okay, we're going to go through neutral Belgium here. I think I even use a little pen. Okay, I'm going to go through, let's see how this works. Go through neutral Belgium, and I'm going to come around and I'm going to kind of like attack the Germans from this side. Because right now there's like a whole bunch of German military like coming over here. Okay, so we'll just go through Belgium and we'll like swing around and we'll attack them from that side. Now, the thing is Great Britain does not want to get involved. And they say, we're not going to get involved in anything until you like go through a neutral country. Well, guess what? They did. And not only did they go through a neutral country, they like raped and murdered a bunch of Belgians, and it turns into this huge thing. They use Belgium as like this big movement of propaganda to get people enticed into the war and whatnot. So it's not good. Okay, so not only do they go through Belgium and like red flag everybody, like Great Britain's like, fine, if you're going to do that, I'm going to declare war on you. And then the French knew what was going on, and so they could kind of prepare a little bit more. But then the Russians, who were supposed to mobilize like very slowly, all of a sudden they're like already here. And so now Germany is going to fight over here and they're going to fight over here. But really, Germany is going to, I'll erase that. Okay, really, Germany is going to end up fighting in Western France right there. Okay, so it ain't good. Germany already is like in bad shape because they thought that Russia's going to take a while and they didn't. And then because of what they did in Belgium, it like got everybody involved. And so it was not good at all. Okay, so there you go. Germany is now fighting a two-front war. And I'm going to get into kind of warfare in just a little bit. There is your alliance. Okay, total war. This is where everybody in the country is involved in war. It's not just the soldiers. It's like people at home, you are now supporting the war as well. This is where rationing comes in. This is where bonds come in. If you look in my classroom, I have like some posters about like war bonds and rationing and whatnot. You'll have to take a look when you come back in. But this is because like, hey, I can't fight in the war, but I can do things to help. Okay, this is where meatless Mondays come in. Like, we won't eat meat on Monday, and we're going to send that extra to the troops. Okay, in the United States, we had victory gardens. Grow your own vegetables and fruits so that you don't have to buy them from the store, and then they can send that to the soldiers. Okay, fun fact, my husband got me a little victory garden sign for Mother's Day this year, and it was amazing. Anyways, so you also had just recruitment going on. You have propaganda is a huge thing that I'll talk about in just a second, but everybody is going to be involved. Save your tin cans. You know, the women go to now work in the factories and they're munition producing. My grandma during World War II built bombs, and I thought it was really cool. And so everybody is kind of involved. There's no restrictions on weapons. Militarization keeps building up. You've got new inventions that are they keep increasing, which we'll talk about. And then you're just trying to mobilize the whole society for war. Like, what can you do at home to help the people overseas or, you know, that are fighting? Okay, so reactions to war. Propaganda is crazy. Like, it's insane. Propaganda basically turns into ways to entice people to join the war. You can see right here, this one says like, destroy this mad brute. You can always tell it's a German person if they have like this helmet with a little spike right here. And he looks very like demon-like. You have him, you know, he's like holding this woman, and you know, she's like distressed and kind of like this whole King Kong type thing. And then he's holding, you know, this giant, it's not a bat, I can't think of, club. Oh my gosh. And you can see there's kind of like, looks like blood and stuff like this, but it's an enlistment like advertisement. Okay, so it's not even like, it doesn't have anything to do with that. The "We Want You" Uncle Sam is really big. The war bonds. Another one is like where you kind of are like tugging at the heartstrings of like men. I've One of the popular ones is like two little kids sitting looking at their dad while he's like sitting in a recliner, and the like daughter says like, what did you do during the war, dad? And he kind of has like this guilty look on his face. And so propaganda becomes huge during this time. And this is really what kind of gets us into the war as well. New technology. Because of the Industrial Revolution, now you have new technology that is going to absolutely change how warfare is fought. And I'll talk about trench warfare in a second, which was not a good thing. But these new technology, you've got poison gas, which was horrible, because basically what it would do is, first off, your gas mask, I was trying to see if I had like a little canvas bag here, but it's like putting a canvas bag over your head and like tying it, and like, there you go, there's your, you know, gas mask. They were not effective at all. Plus it was bad, like, let's say you send gas, you know, poison gas, well, if the wind shifts, it's like back at you, not good. But if you do like and end up getting it to the enemy, it's really bad because it basically gets into your lungs, and it like, you basically die of suffocation, and it gets horrible. Machine guns, this is probably the weapon that completely transformed modern warfare, like 100%, especially because of trenches. Because you have like a trench over here, a trench over here, and people have to like run in between. Well, you're fighting a machine gun, so that's not like, you can't like dodge the bullets of the machine gun. Like, it's not going to really work. And so that's one of the main reasons why you have extremely high casualties in this war. Submarines or U-boats. The German U-boats are very effective. They're one of the reasons that we get involved in World War I. The airplane was huge, brand new. You would have these, you know, air fights that would go on. Tanks actually weren't as big of a thing during World War I because they weren't very reliable. You would like get in the middle of no man's land, and then they'd break down, and then you have to like run back to your trench. Like, they weren't very good. But trench warfare, this is what happened on the Western Front. Okay, this is the reason why that there's going to be this huge stalemate. Because imagine, all right, you build a trench, you build a trench. Like, okay, I'm here, I get out of my trench, I'm running, I get to this trench, but now, like, you have to fight, like, all these people here. And like lots of people are not living by getting here. So you may get over here with like a handful of people and then be like, well crap, I can't do this. I can't take it. So what ends up happening is you have a stalemate happen. Neither side is going to gain an advantage. Plus, it destroys French land, like absolutely destroys French land. And that's why one reason why the French are so mad at the end, because they have so many war damages in their country. So there's a reason why trench warfare was only used in World War One, because it was terrible. Like imagine you dig a trench down and then like have any of you ever like dug a deep hole? Well, you get to water and then you like can't get the water out. Well, guess what? You're in a trench and it's really hard to get the water out. And one of the things that they always say in the military is keep your feet dry. At least that's what my dad said. And like imagine going and standing in water for days on end. Your feet are going to get disgusting. And what ends up happening is like things like trench warfare or trench foot, like your feet literally mold and like they like fall off, like no joke. Just Google it. It's really gross, but beware. Other things that happen, huge diseases. Oh my gosh, disease, lice is rampant, like cat-sized rats, because it's like you can't get rid of bodies, and so bodies will just sit there, and then the rats just get in and they like eat you from the inside out when you die, and it's really disgusting. There's really no like bathrooms, because the bathrooms over there, like up and out of the trench. Who wants to do that? So you kind of do your business there, and it's just very, very unsanitary, very unsanitary. And it's not like there's constant warfare. So much of your time in the trenches is like idle, like there's nothing to do, because it's not like constant warfare or anything like that. You are sitting there for hours on end doing nothing. So the conclusion, we will actually wait on the Treaty of Versailles to talk about it later. But the consequences of this, not saying that this caused the Spanish flu, but it happened. And so in 1918, you had influenza epidemic. Hey, we're going through that right now. Holy moly. So many times have I looked back in like at historical things right now, and I'm like, oh, that woman's wearing a mask. Oh, like they're being isolated. Oh, wow, we're going through this again. But so you do have an epidemic that ends up happening. Germany is very angry because of the end of the war, which we'll talk about with the Treaty of Versailles. More demands for independence. Colonies now want decolonization, and they want independence, and they want self-sovereignty, and they want to just be themselves. Devastated economies, which we'll also talk about with World War or the Treaty of Versailles. The power of the United States increases, but guess what? We have a Great Depression that causes this worldwide depression. And then you have collapse of empires. The Ottomans have been around for how long? Like so long. And now, because of World War I, because they joined the wrong side, the Ottomans fall. Now they're Turkey. Okay, Austria-Hungary splits, and now they're Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, like all these little other nations. And then the Russians turn into the Soviet Union. Lenin comes in and starts this revolution, and communism starts. Okay, and so now the Romanov dynasty is gone. And so you have some major things that happen because of that. And then just looking at casualties, okay, we've got lots and lots of casualties, and the biggest reason because of the Russian Empire is because they were not ready. Like they industrialized late, they didn't have the resources, literally sending guys into battle with no weapon. You're hoping the guy next to you dies so you can grab his gun. Okay, the British Empire and the French, obviously they're fighting on French soil, and they're going to have major casualties. United States we're not in it that long, so it's not going to cause as much devastation. Alrighty. Just looking at, different deaths between the empire, or excuse me, the countries, and then the sides. So we had more deaths on the Entente or the Allied side than on the Central Power side. And then this is what ends up happening after after World War One. Okay, so you've got Germany loses a little territory. This is going to become big right here. Okay, so you've got this Eastern Prussia. Well, you got Poland right there. That's the Polish corridor. That's going to make Hitler mad. Okay, and then Austria-Hungary now turns into a whole bunch of different places. Okay, we've got Austria, we got Hungary, we've got Czechoslovakia, Romania increases, we got the emergence of Yugoslavia. Guess what? All of this is going to be taken down by Hitler. Okay, so there you go. There is World War One in a nutshell. That took longer than I thought, but I like wars. I think they're cool. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, I think this says World War II. I meant to say World War One, but now it says World War One. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and email me. Otherwise, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, whatever day it is, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't care. Just try to get this done by Friday. Alrighty, have a good one, you guys. Bye.